If you've ever stepped foot in a gym on a Monday, you already know what's up. It is packed, right? And pretty much everyone is waiting for a bench. So today, we're going to break down this global, unofficial gym holiday that we all know and, well, that we all know, International Chest Day.
You know, this quote from Raw Nutrition just hits the nail on the head. It's this funny but totally true trend where lifters all over the world kick off their week by training chest. So, just how real is this Monday surge?
And yeah, this isn't just a feeling, okay? It's a fact. The data shows it clear as day. Mondays are, without a doubt, the busiest day of the week for gyms. You can see that huge spike right there at the start of the week, and then it kind of tapers off and really bottoms out over the weekend. The Monday madness is absolutely real.
So, what is the deal with this Monday ritual? Well, to really get it, we need to dive into the psychology of it all.
Let's tackle the two big questions here. Why Monday? And of all the muscle groups, why the chest?
A huge part of the answer is, you guessed it, psychological. Think about it. You've had a weekend of rest, maybe ate a little more than usual, and you're feeling mentally and physically ready to start fresh. Training a big, visible muscle group like the chest gives you that immediate, satisfying feedback. You know, that pump. And it just feels super productive.
So you can see it's this really powerful cocktail of motivations, right? You're starting a new workout split, you feel strong, hitting a major muscle group, and you get to leave the gym with that tangible muscle soreness that, let's be real, is kind of addictive. It just sets this awesome, productive tone for the rest of your week. All right, so we've covered the why. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty, the how. We're going to break down the essential movements that make up a classic chest day workout.
Look, any great chest workout is built on one thing: a solid foundation of heavy pressing movements. This is where you really build that raw strength and the overall size.
And this gets us into one of the oldest debates in the gym. On one side, you have the barbell press. It's the king for lifting the absolute most weight. But on the other hand, dumbbells have some serious advantages. They make each side of your body work on its own, which helps fix imbalances, and they give you a much deeper, more natural range of motion. That's why they were a huge favorite for legends like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
But hey, it's not all about just the flat bench. You have to change up the angle. Hitting an incline press, maybe at a 30-degree angle, shifts that focus to the upper fibers of your pecs. That is the key to building that full, shelf-like chest that so many people are after. Okay, so after you've gone heavy with the compound presses, the focus shifts over to isolation movements. These are the exercises that really sculpt the muscle, adding that size and creating that sharp definition. And the most famous isolation move has got to be the fly. Whether you're doing it with dumbbells or with cables, the goal here isn't about lifting a ton of weight. Nope, it's all about feeling that deep stretch at the bottom of the movement and then getting a really powerful squeeze at the top. This is pure muscle building.
But listen, you don't always need a mountain of iron to build an impressive chest. In fact, some of the absolute most effective movements use nothing but your own body weight.
I mean, just take the push-up. It is the perfect example because it's so versatile. If you elevate your hands on a bench, it makes it easier. A standard push-up, that's a phenomenal strength builder. And if you elevate your feet, you create a decline angle that adds more resistance and really targets your upper chest, kind of like an incline press. Okay, so far we've kind of been celebrating this whole tradition, but now we're going to flip the script a little bit and ask a pretty important question. What if this whole weekly ritual isn't actually the best strategy for your goals? No, really, let's think about this. Could just following the crowd every single Monday actually be limiting your progress?
Because there are some real downsides to think about. First, the obvious one: waiting around forever for a bench in a super crowded gym. Second, all that pressure in a packed room can lead to ego lifting. You know, sacrificing good form just to lift heavier, which is basically a recipe for injury. And finally, if you're always prioritizing one muscle group, that can create some serious imbalances down the road.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Check out this counter-argument from neuroscientist and fitness expert Andrew Huberman. He actually says he trains legs on Monday for a very specific reason, because that's when he's the most rested. He uses his peak energy levels to tackle what is probably the most demanding workout of the entire week.
So what we're really looking at here are two totally different mindsets. You've got the traditionalist, who uses that chest pump for a mental win to kick off the week. But then you have the strategist, who sees Monday as the day they've got the most fuel in the tank. For them, it's the perfect time to attack their hardest session, like a heavy leg day, which can have a much bigger impact on hormones and overall calorie burn.
All right, so how do we tie all this together? It's really about moving away from just blindly following a tradition and instead designing your week with some actual intention and purpose.
So let's break it down into a simple game plan you can actually use. First, no matter what you're training, form is everything. It is the single most important thing for getting results and staying safe. Second, you need variety. Use different exercises, different angles, different tools, barbells, dumbbells, cables, your own body weight. And finally, listen to your body and plan your week based on your energy. If you feel most recovered on Monday, then maybe that is the best day for your hardest workout.
And that really just leaves us with one final question. International Chest Day is a fun tradition, for sure, but it's not a rule written in stone. Now that you have all this info, you get to decide what's actually best for your body and for your goals.